I think this is gonna be should be one of the most important videos I make. Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. I'm just hitting record. Nothing planned out, nothing like written out. This is just all from the dome piece. In this video, I'm gonna give you all my testimony and what ultimately led me to God, and what ultimately led me to Jesus, and what ultimately led me into this journey of constantly learning about God and Jesus and the Bible and what it means to be a follower of Jesus and what it means to fully be a Christian and walk that life. So yeah, it's almost been a year since I gave my life to God. It was probably October of 2024. I had a encounter with Jesus that just set it all off. It was right there in the month of October 2024. But let's back up a little bit. I grew up in a Catholic Christian household. I was raised Catholic, baptized as a baby. Went to all the catechism classes, CCD. Got confirmed. Had my first communion. All the 9 yards. Everything Catholic. That's how I grew up. Yeah, so I had a pretty decent idea of being Christian, but I never read the Bible as a kid. I never, maybe little verses here and there or whatever you heard at the sermon, or during mass is what they would call the services in Catholicism. Yeah, so like I knew of God, I knew of Jesus. I believed that he was real. I just didn't really know. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really a kid. It wasn't like deep dive study Bible studies. It was just go to church Sunday, Wednesdays was CCD. And yeah, that was it. Got confirmed when I was like 14, 15 maybe. Got confirmed, and that was also it's also around the same time where I just stopped walking and just got into a chair permanently. We're gonna save that for another video. During that time, I was kind of going through a lot of transition period and stuff. So I had this belief that I was gonna be like a priest. Like, it's funny now because like now I'm like, there's no way I would have wanted to not get married and not have a wife. I'm sorry, no, not happening. Respect to the priest, but that's not my avenue. I like God made women too beautiful for me to be a priest. But that's besides the point. Yeah, so I had this idea that I was gonna be a priest, and that was it. I felt, and what's ironic is the underlining behind that is like I had this like really desire to, typical high school, right? You have this desire, like you want to be in a relationship, like you want to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend if you're a dude. If you're a chick, I mean, if you're a girl, dang, I'm gonna get in trouble. So for me, it was important. I was like, I want a girlfriend, and like at the time, I was like, oh, it's probably not realistic, being in, transit, like going from walking to being in a chair, just you going through puberty and all that, a lot of self doubt. So it was like, oh well, if I feel like there's no chance of me getting a relationship, then I might as well be a priest. That was the thought for when I was 15. But still, at that time, I still didn't fully know Jesus and know God. I still was just, I just was go to church on Sunday, Catholic. Just knew what I knew from what the priest would said, and really have a personal relationship with God during that time. So fast forward to that was about 2016. Fast forward 2 years, 2018, I met someone. Yeah, I met someone, I met a girl, and my house creaking. Okay, I didn't know I lived in paranormal activity. Anyway, yeah, I met a girl, and we, you know, my thought prior to being a priest, obviously that went away because I got into a relationship, and I was young, right? I was 17 when I got in a relationship. Yeah, 17. Yeah, it was just typical high school relationship, right? So whatever, right? It was good. It was a just innocent relationship. Just didn't know any better. Dated for a while. We dated for 4.5 years, and yeah, to me, I was like always like, oh, like this is the person I'm going to marry, blah blah blah. This person I'm going to marry, this person I'm going to have kids with. This is the person that I'm going to grow old with and be with for the rest of my life. At least that's what I thought. Just 4 years, man. I was like, what? Like I was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 in a relationship for a long time. So it was pretty, serious, but I think a lot of what I did not understand is that, it was a long distance relationship. So we did see each other like maybe twice a year on average, usually. So that can be very difficult when you're young in high school and graduating high school and starting. But long term, a long distance relationship is not realistic, especially for someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So just didn't know any better. Just thought, oh, this is just how it is, and like this is the definition of relationship. And obviously there was fornication in the relationship. It wasn't a whole wait till marriage type of relationship. I still had people around me that were worldly, family, friends that were worldly. So like that was just normal. So like I didn't think anything about, oh, wait until marriage. I didn't fully understand the sacredness of that, like how sacred that was. Because again, I never read the Bible, so I wasn't familiar with the word and what God said about marriage and sex and all that. So like just did worldly things, just did what I thought what was worldly at the time. And ultimately, yeah, the for me, the breakup came out of nowhere, and I didn't know at the time, but she was ready to go to a different part of her life and didn't see me as, didn't see me in the future. So yeah, ultimately there was someone else that she was really good friends with that, lived closer, obviously. And I think in her avenue that looked like more of realistically a relationship that would be better to pursue because it was not long distance. Yeah, so when that hit, that legitly crushed me, like destroyed me. It was a first heartbreak, but I think what was so hard about it was just being with someone for 4.5 years. Spend 4.5 years of your life with one person, and then for that person just to, for y'all to be completely done is crazy. Like, and yeah, it was like crushing. And like for me, I was like, oh, like I tried to keep the relationship together. I was like, oh, let's just take a break and blah blah blah, and we can rethink this. I was like legitly, I was in denial for sure, 100%. And then ultimately it was her that wanted it, right? But we had a conversation, and she was like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to, it's not fair to me be in a relationship with you if I don't want to be in a relationship. Like I can't, I don't want to pretend. Yeah, and all those hurt, right, at the moment. Obviously now looking back, it was a huge blessing because that was part of the test to get to my testimony. But yeah, I was crushed and I was mad. I was mad at God. And like it's funny, it's kind of funny how I was mad at God because, after I got in the relationship, I just put God to the side. Didn't even consider him in anything. So honestly, it's ironic that I say that. But yeah, I was mad. I was mad at God. I was mad at him for putting me in a relationship and then taking me out of one. And then I was just like mad. I was like, why would you, like, how could you do this to me? Like, why would you put me in a relationship with someone, make me love someone so much, and then take them away? I was like, why? What was the point? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I was just so mad and bitter and angry at God. And then that whole month, so that was October 2022. That whole month was, just remember just being in like this deep depression, like just didn't speak to nobody, didn't talk to nobody. I just completely like shut myself out of everybody. I was completely destroyed, like, and I made it seem like everyone else around me that was fine. Didn't cry in front of anybody, just cried when I was by myself. It got to the point where I was like, bro, I don't even want to be alive. Like, I don't even want to be here. Like, just really got to that level, like towards the end of that month. And then going into November, I was like, yeah, like, there's no point. Like, what is the point? Like, that was my point. and now my point for living is gone. So what's the point even being here in the first place? So that was a real thing. That was a real thing. No one knew. I don't think no one could tell either. I was really good at hiding my emotions and keeping that away from people. At the end of the month in November, went to where I'm originally from, which is Louisiana. Went to Louisiana and spent the whole week hanging out with some really good family friends of ours. It helped take my mind off of the whole relationship, take my mind off of everything, and it kind of helped me reset. Because I was like, okay, there is people. That was kind of like the start of like, okay, I do need to be here. Like people want me here. People, yeah, like that wasn't the end. Like I have all these people that care and love me. So why would I? Selfish to think that way, to even think about, taking your life. But it's a real thought and it's a real thing, especially when you are the crushed to that extreme. So anyway, got back from that, and I was like, you know what? It's cool. It's cool. Still bitter at God, but I felt better. The feelings were better. Fast forward a couple months, I need to get a job. I need to get a job that makes a lot of money because that'll make me feel better and that'll make me not think about, the breakup and help me get past it. This was January 2023. Called around, got I got a job at this solar place in Denver, and as a remote position. So I was just, doing sales on the phone. So for about 4 months after I got the job, I was enjoying it. I was making good money for my age. And yeah, I was happy. I felt happy. Because I was like, oh, I see all this money. There's so, like, in the company's like, oh, there's so much potential to make more. Just keep working with us. After 6 months, we'll make you up to this. And then you'll make more money. And after a year, we'll move you up to a, just higher up position. I was like, oh, yeah, that's going to be sick of me making more money. I felt so happy making money. And it was such a good distraction from how I truly felt inside internally. But I just was like, nah, it's cool. I don't need, like, I got money. I don't need nobody. Like, I'm gonna be working at this. I'm gonna stay at this company for a while, make a lot of money, and then, and then do my own thing, whatever. My idol, my ruler at that point was money, 100%. Well, after 4 months of that, I just felt like empty. I still felt this emptiness, this brokenness. It was like I used the money as an excuse to just cover up everything I was going through, all the pain, suffering, all the crying at night, all the loneliness. I was like just use that to cope, and all I did was worked and didn't really talk to anybody. Kind of pushed a lot of people away, friendship wise. I literally was just working and just focused on money, and that was a good distraction for 4 months. And then my manager saw the decline in my work and my productivity and was like, "Hey man, like, are you good?" Like, and I was honest with him. I was like, "I don't know. I just don't feel this anymore." And and then his manager wanted to meet with me, and his manager ultimately was like, "Yeah, man, like, you're not producing enough, and yeah, because of that, we don't think you should be working anymore. So give you a week, and if I don't see any improvement, I'm gonna fire you." I was like, okay. So didn't care. I was like, I just feel empty. It doesn't matter. Like nothing. Like the money filled my heart for like literally a couple months, and realized I was still empty. Still did not like myself or just anything in general. I was just so angry and hateful and just still mad at God and just on this mindset I can't trust nobody and nobody cares about me and I need to fend for myself and F everybody else. It's just me versus everybody versus the world. Like, people lie, nobody cares. Women ain't crap. Like that's literally how I believe. Like I literally was like, I don't care about marriage and stuff. I just want a bunch of money, a bunch of women, and that's all I care about. I just want to nah, that's it. Like oh, I'm cool. I don't need nobody trying to act like all hard and stuff. Like just my heart got cold, like just ice cold, like frozen. To the point I just didn't care about anybody or anything. But back to what I was saying about the job. Yeah, ultimately numbers didn't go up. My manager's like, hey man, my manager wants to fire you, but I don't want to do that to you because that looks too bad on your resume. And I really like you, and I think you're a good dude. So I'm just gonna I was like, if I were you, just resign now before he has a chance to fire you. I was like, okay. He was cool. Like, he was looking out for me. And ultimately, I quit the job. I quit the sales job. You know, like, well, having disability, right? I just went back on disability. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, man, I just still feel empty. I tried these little online guru jobs, like, oh, drop shipping, or I tried all these different gimmicks and all these different, still just chasing money for the thrill of happiness. I don't know, to fill the void. That's just constantly what I was doing. And then I just felt more alone, and I was lusting a lot, and I was watching porn. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a bunch of dating apps. I'm gonna add a bunch of girls on Snapchat. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, money didn't fulfill me, so now lust will fulfill me. That'll fill the void of being lonely. Well, that only lasted for about a month, and just I still felt lonely. I still felt this void. I still felt this emptiness, and I was just empty. I just was like, oh, well, lust is the way. That'll fulfill my void of emptiness. That didn't work, and it was a bunch of people were just really shady. It made me distrust women even more. It made me be like, yeah, like you can't trust women. Women are shit, or like they're not worth it. Yeah, it just made me even bitter even more, and closed my heart up even more. And the void just was still empty. Still, nothing could fill it. Just went through life. Another year passed by. I was just so much bitterness, so much hate. Not even hate, but it was like I don't need people. I don't need people. Everyone has let me down. That's all people do is let me down. They're all wrong. I'm right. I know what's best for me. And what's best for me is how I feel inside, or my feelings. I'm going to follow my heart and ignore everyone else because nobody else cares. Yeah, and it just hardened my heart. My heart was just so hardened, and I did not care about anybody. I didn't even care about myself, to be honest. Not looking, like realizing now, even though I thought I did, but that wasn't care. That was just self idolization, self worship in a way. And that's honestly a way of hate and disliking yourself, because being so obsessed with yourself that any imperfection you just critique, and you talk, and you just critique heavily, and yeah, it just makes you try to be a perfectionist in the way you look and the way you, but for what? Just to still feel empty. And so, yeah. And then where things started to take a shift is, so one of my daily things was daily. I get up, take my dog for a walk around. I got like these little lakes kind of in the neighborhood where I live. I would just take the dog every day, go around. There was this new section where these new houses were getting built. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna start taking my dog over there. Whatever, just this new area. It doesn't really matter. I started going over there, and I ran into this guy. He had these two Australian shepherds, and they were like in the front yard without leashes. They like sprinted at me and my dog, but they were the nicest dog ever. So I wasn't even concerned. They're these little Australian shepherds. They looked like little teddy bears, so it didn't matter. But I met this guy, and he's like, oh, hey, like, I'm so and so. I'm new to the neighborhood. Just quick, just small talk. I was like, okay, well, I'm so and so. Whatever. Didn't. That was it. It was a little brief talk. So I'd be taking that same route. I took that same route for a while, for a long time. Every now and then I run into him. We just, a few four times were a little just small talk, just quick, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Then there was a time where I stopped and talked to him for a while. And he brought up God and Jesus and was like, hey, like, hey, man, like, I don't know, are you religious at all? Like, or no, are you religious? Like, do you know Jesus? And I was like, yeah, I know of him. I grew up Catholic and stuff. But yeah, I was like, yeah, just a little bit. He's like, oh, you go to church? I was like, every now and then I go to the Catholic church, just every now and then with my mom or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay, that's cool. He's like, I'm, like he said, I'm Christian. He said, like I'm fully Christian, and I study the Bible, and and Jesus really saved me, and he gave me like a testimony, and he was, and he's like, yeah, like for me, like he's like, yeah, I grew up Catholic Christian too. I knew God, whatever. He said I went to the Air Force, and he said when he got out of the Air Force, he was super depressed, and he was homeless, and he was addicted to drugs and living out of his car, and he just hated his life, and he, wanted to take his life, and he ended up meeting his wife, his future wife somehow. They met, and she invited him to their church in California, and like he had this radical encounter with Jesus and completely changed his life around. Got sober off of drugs, got a good job. Him and his wife, they got married. They He said they felt called to foster a bunch of kids. They had a bunch of foster kids, even though they didn't have a lot of money at the time. But that's what God called him to do. And and he's like, like Jesus has really changed my life. It didn't crack my heart yet. It didn't. It just kind of gave me the brain, like, oh, made me think a little bit. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I would have never known this guy. I've been saying hi to him for like months, and he just started talking to me about Jesus. So then every time after that, he would talk to me about something God, Jesus related and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he was like, hey, man, like if I ever did a Bible study, would you want to join? I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Like that'd be kind of cool. And then this was 2023, I think, or yeah, 2023. He ended up starting a Bible study, and he was going to like make it all work and like make it accessible so I can get in his house, come to the Bible study with him. And I just like ghosted him. I straight up just ghosted him. Like, hey, man, like, sorry, I can't make it to the first one. And then after that, I just ghosted him for a while, for months. And it was crazy because, like, now looking back, like, that was the first instance God was trying to enter back into my life. And Jesus was trying to build a relationship with me. But during that time that I ghosted him, I was going to walk my dog, taking her around the lake this time. There's this old lady, like a little old lady, and she's by herself. She was walking around the lake. It was like 8:30 in the morning. Every time I drive past someone, I just like I pause my music and just say hi. I don't know. I feel like that's just being genuine. Just say hi. Pause the music. Hey, what's up? I'm like hi, how are you? Or good morning. It's usually what it is. And she was like, oh, good morning. Just know that Jesus loves you very much. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I just passed the lady inside. Didn't think anything of it. Just kept. I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. Yeah, and so like when I go around the lake, it takes a decent amount of time because like once I go across, like there's no going back for a while until I get to the other side of it. And I forgot I had something. There was something I had in like 30 minutes, and I was like, it takes about 30 minutes to get around it. I was like, okay, well, shoot, I need to go back. So I turned around, started going back, and there's a point in the road where I could have went left and just went around. And it's a little short, not much shorter, a little short to get to my house. Or I can go right, just run my dog a little bit longer. When I got there to my right, that lady was sitting on the bench. And I was like, this lady's gonna want to talk to me. I just had this feeling. I was like, if I go over there, she's gonna want to talk to me, and I don't have time to talk. I need to hurry up and get back. And as I was sitting there deciding to go left or right, she looked at me, and I was like, dang it. I was like, well, now I can't. Now I just seem rude if I just take off left. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. So I went right. She's sitting on the bench, right, like the bench is right against the sidewalk. I have to go past her. She's sitting on the bench, and I knew she was helping me. She's like, oh, she's like, hi. She's like, oh, okay, like, blah, blah, I want to talk to you. I was like, damn it. And she loved my dog. She was like, oh, like, I guess like her mom raised dogs that were kind of like mine, whatever. So anyway, she's like this 80-year-old woman. She's like 82. She's like, hey, can I talk to you? I was like, okay. And she's like, I just want you to know that Jesus really loves you. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. Like, she's just like, are you Christian? I was like, yeah, I'm Catholic. I go to church every now and then. She's like, oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Christian, Catholic, Baptist, Orthodox. She's like, whatever, doesn't matter. As long as you follow Jesus, that's all that's important. And then she was like, oh, I just want to, she's like, she just started talking. I didn't even ask. She didn't even ask. She just started talking. She's like, when I was, yeah, she was 22 and she was in Mexico at the time. And she was like, I saw my husband in front of me. And I was like, okay, where are you going with this? And she was like, there was this priest in front of this young priest in front of me. And she was like, I knew that was going to be my husband. I was, a priest? What you mean? And she's like, well, and then like a year or so after that, he left the priesthood just so he could be with her and so they can get married. And he left the priesthood, they got married, and then she's explaining to me that they had 3 kids, and like their life was good. She had the perfect life. She got, she was married. She had beautiful children. She had a dog. She had everything she wanted. The perfect life, exactly what she wanted in her head. But she said that she still felt empty. She said, I was, obviously, I was Christian at the time, and she was Catholic, right? But she was like, I just still felt empty. She said I was 55 years old and I just felt empty. She said I just felt shameful. I have nothing to complain about. I have a beautiful house, a beautiful family. Everything was good for me, but I still feel empty and voidful. It's like I go to church, like I think I'm Christian. And she just said she hated her life. Everything was perfect, but she hated her life, and she was old. She was like, I'm like 50 something. Like, that's too late now to make any radical changes. And she prayed, and she prayed and prayed and prayed, and ended up having a re-encounter with Jesus. And she said she was filled with so much love, and the void in her heart just disappeared completely, and she was happy again. And she was like, I started reading my Bible consistently and started growing my relationship with God. And she's like, I just had a new appreciation for life at like 58 years old. And she was like, I knew God. I thought I knew Jesus, but I didn't really know Jesus. And she's like, she said, it's crazy. She said, I got saved again when I was 58. And my whole life it all made sense. I was so grateful. She said, I've been so grateful ever since. I've been so blessed and filled with love and joy. And I'm just so happy to be alive. Yeah, definitely, because it still stuck with me. I literally I still know, like I can literally envision every single thing that she said and exactly where we were and everything. Like it was, I don't know, it definitely, that was another mini seed planted. So first it was the guy, then it was her. And afterwards she's like, can I pray for you? And she just, she sat there and prayed for me for it was a long prayer, like for like 5 minutes straight, but just kept praying for me. It was like, I don't remember what she said in the prayer, but what's important is that she just sat there and prayed for me and helped rekindle the seed. Yeah, so that was that encounter. It stuck with me. I was like, oh, okay, maybe something, but it still wasn't big enough for me to turn to a turning point. But it was another hint of like, oh, like God was like still trying to nudge at me. Just went through life, went through days, and I still was, nothing changed in my heart. I still was, angry. It's still distant from God. I still was like, didn't have a relationship with him. I honestly, you know, wouldn't say I was atheist, because I was not atheist, but I was at a point where I was like, I don't really believe everything. That I feel like there's so much wrong that God clearly doesn't care about me. I truly believed that. Yeah, I was super, just went back. I just fell back into this deep depression for months. And yeah, and then the months, and then it was July of last year. So, okay, so just to give you a little bit of timeline, I met the guy the previous summer, met the old lady in the spring, ghosted that guy during the spring and summer when he wanted to do the Bible studies, completely cut him off. And yeah, and that summer in June, June of last year, I was super depressed. July still, I had very much depressed, and in July it was back to the point of even like not wanting to be here again, and not wanting to be alive, and totally just wanting to just be like, nah, it's cool. Like, what's the point? Like, very selfish, but at that moment, at that time, I didn't care. Like, at the time, I didn't care, and this time I was like really thinking about doing it. This, like the first time, it was more of a thought, but it quickly got fixed. But this was like serious. I was like, it's been 2 years and I still have this void. Money didn't do it. I quit that. Lust and lusting over women and just lust in general and talking with women, that didn't heal me. Yeah, I just fully just trusted my own thoughts, and my own thoughts were like, well, what's the point? Like, there's no point of being here. So it was, I can't remember the exact day, but it was about the middle of July. I was legitly like gonna do it. And like, yeah, like I made up my mind. I knew what I was gonna do, how I was gonna do it, whatever. And I was riding with my mom to, I don't know, I couldn't tell you where I was going. I think it was a doctor's appointment for something. And as we're driving, we got a call from my aunt. And when she called my mom, she answered the call like hysterically and was like crying and was in a lot of tears and like it was like on speaker, right? Because like it's, whatever. So like I could hear the whole conversation, and she was crying, and I was like, oh, what's everything okay? She's like, no, and so well, what's wrong? Well, like, so that my cousin had this is difficult. My cousin had she just got out of surgery a day or two prior for knee surgery. Just like knee surgery, she played a lot of soccer and like jacked up her knees to the point like where she couldn't play anymore. And she had to do knee surgery, and the surgery was successful. But when she got out of the surgery, she got home and was having like major headaches, and I don't know all the details. I couldn't tell you all the details perfectly, but regardless what it was, she felt really, really bad. So they went, like her head was like killing her. So they just went to the ER like really quickly because it just didn't seem normal and it was really weird. And then they did like a scan of her head or an MRI, and they found a cyst in her head, like a really big, like like a pretty big cyst in her head. And immediately they, like normally, right, you freak out because like like they thought, and they thought it was cancer, like it was looked like a tumor. And prior to that, my uncle, their dad, also had a brain tumor. And yeah, so like of course that was the immediate scare, like well now our daughter has a brain tumor. And yeah, so I found this cyst in her head, and she told like, we don't, like, we're gonna get it tested, see if it's cancerous, we don't know, but right now this is just like what she was hysterical, and it's just understandable for the circumstances. But and it's ironic because I was literally thinking about going home and doing what I was gonna do, and because of that, I was like, damn, dude. Can't remember the last time I cried, bro. Come on. And yeah, at the moment I was like, dude, I can't, like, let's say, but this is before we knew that it wasn't cancerous, but like, let's say, like, I was like, bro, I can't make them. It'd be so selfish if I made, my family and like, obviously my close family, and then like cousins and all that, like, make them go through that on top of, like possible cancer. And I was like, no. It like flipped something in my head. I was like, immediately that thought left my head permanently. I was like, yeah, no, we're good. That's a sign right there that no, that is not what you need to do. That's not the answer. And think of all the people that you would destroy because you selfishly are wanting to give up. But no, it's not. And God was like, no, like, it's not happening. that just completely flipped it in me. I was like, no, I can't do that to them. Can't do that to her. I can't do that to my family, their family, everybody I know, all my friends, everybody. Like, no, like that. It's crazy that that moment, me being in the car on the day that I decided to do what I was going to do, and then being in the car and getting that call, which, usually I'm not in the, I don't know. The way all the circumstances work is just crazy how that's the call I got. I was like, yeah, I can't do this because, like, cancerous or not, I'm not putting everybody through all that. And it's crazy that, something that she had that made them and her fear for her life is what ultimately saved my life. So, yeah, that was that, and yeah, that was a big part of it. And I was like, no, I cannot do that. Still I didn't come in my radical encounter with Jesus yet, but that ultimately put another reset on everything. It was like more of a sign, like this is something deeper. Like I can't just be like, what am I doing? Like, no, like all these little signs I got is placed towards me to save me and keep me alive. Yeah, so they were super upset about that, and it was really, and like I just had to really become unselfish in that moment. That moment completely, every selfish desire left, and I wanted to be there for them and not myself. I remember this is before they got the news if it was cancerous or not. I remember going to bring them food on Chick-fil-A, and like, you could just tell my cousin was very stressed and in distress, and and like she was already, yeah, like, and she was in and out of crying and in tears, and like I was like, it just made me more and more realize I cannot be selfish. Like, why would I ever try to be selfish at all? And so, and they were very Christian, very, very Christian, very much in their faith. And I think I knew that, but I didn't fully know that to that extent until I was around them during these times and, hung out with them a little bit. Starting to soften up a little bit. My heart was starting to soften a little bit. I was like, this could be, I don't know. Was like a huge reset. Everything kind of just reset for a minute. Like made me like realize I got to rethink my priorities and what I'm focusing on, because clearly what I'm focusing on is leaving me empty. And clearly I don't need to be empty because I need to be here for everyone else. So, whatever. They found out it wasn't cancerous, but still it was growing, and the place where it was, if it grew too much, she could be blind. And like it was close to, I don't know where it was. I'm not no doctor, but wherever it was in a spot to where if they didn't take care of it, she could be permanently blind. So they had to remove it. They had to figure out which treatment they were going to do. They ended up finding a treatment. Whatever the treatment was, they were going to do it. Well, she had to leave for she had to be gone for like a month and a half. And so, yeah, so I was like, hey, I want to see y'all before you go. I want to see you before you go and the rest of my cousins. So we planned a day in October for me to go over there. And I was like, I'm going to get y'all Dutch Bros, whatever. Didn't. Got them Dutch Bros. And yeah, went over to their house. And I'm talking about the second I went to their house, I felt this divine presence of love around. It was right when I entered their house. It was the craziest thing. And just mind you, this is a time where I didn't think I needed anybody. I didn't believe, was just so distant from God. And was I don't need nobody. I don't trust nobody. I'm still just this tough, thinking I'm hard, and I don't need nobody, and cold person. And for me to experience that, just walking in, experiencing a spiritual presence that was I can't explain it. It was this second I went in their house, I was like, what? I didn't say anything. And I was like, what the frick? I just kept it to myself. I was like, what is going on? Whatever. Gave them a hug, and I go in, I see them, and it was I can't explain. It was their eyes were just Jesus looking at me. I don't know how to explain it, but it was this divine experience. I was like, what? You ever like feel eyes? It's like eyes that are like looking at you and is like out of like love, and it just felt like this from like a just felt like this like divine, unhuman, unworldly love that I felt. I felt around them, and I was like, Jesus was literally using them as the instruments to bring me to Him. And so I was like, what? I just wasn't. I didn't say anything. I was quiet. You couldn't tell. They probably couldn't tell I had a reaction, but the whole time I'm thinking like, what is going on? Like, what the frick? Like, this is freaking me out, because like, why do I feel like I feel a spiritual presence around me that's like just filled with love and like so much like love and acceptance and so much like I don't know how to explain it. Whatever. Gave him a hug, gave him the coffee, and I was like, bro, like, what is this feeling? Like, this is crazy. Like, I feel my heart like softening at the moment. Like, I just never felt this amount of like love and acceptance in internally and surrounding me all at one time. Like, it just, I didn't know what to do or what to expect. It's just, I don't know. I just can't explain it. And like, they're sitting across from the table and like just looking in their eyes. Like, I was like, bro, what? I literally felt like I could see Jesus and feel the love of Jesus through their eyes and all around me. And I just don't know how to explain it except that it's God and that it was Jesus. Because, and what else would have told me it was Jesus? Like, what I'm like, bro, this is Jesus. Like, what? Like, this is what these people that I've met on my walks were telling me about. This is the feeling that I was like, I don't know if that's real. Well, now I can feel it and it's real and there's no denying it. I can't deny it because it's all around me in this moment. And whatever. And so the day went. So I just spent a little bit of time there, and my other cousin had the cousin that was going through the treatment and stuff. She had to leave to go. I don't know. She was going to meet these people that were doing this like prayer hour for her before she goes into treatment, whatever. So I was still gonna be there for a little bit. So I was hanging out with my little cousin, and we were playing. Yeah, we were playing the Switch. We were playing. It's like Mario Kart or Mario Bros or whatever. One of them. One of the Mario games. And um, she's like, oh God, like, would you mind if I play some music? I was like, okay, yeah, it's fine, whatever. Like, it's cool. And she was playing this song "Shake the Frost" by called "Shake the Frost" by Tyler Childers, and the lyrics of the song were just talking just I don't know. And like, if you ever have a chance to go listen to that song, and you'll see what I mean, how that song literally just every single word just hit me super super hard as I was sitting there playing the game. And I was faced away from her, so she couldn't see me, but I literally was like crying right there. And like, it was very light tears, but like, I was tears dripping down my face, and I was trying to hide it. I was like, I don't want to seeing that I'm just sitting here crying while we're playing Mario Kart. I wasn't that upset for losing, but but yeah, like every single lyric in that song just struck through me, and it's like I literally felt like what the song was talking about. Like, my heart just felt like it was just defrosting in that moment. Like, this void was started slowly getting filled a little bit, and I could fully feel it around me and around them. And they truly let God work Jesus through them. And I don't think they know the level that's the encounter that ultimately brought me to God. Their obedience to God to allow Him to use them as instruments of His love. And I can't, like, it's because of them, it's because of God, it's because of Him using them. And truly why. And then, like, whatever, didn't matter, we were finished the game. My cousin came back, was getting ready to leave, told him bye, gave him hugs, whatever, left. And like, when I left, I was like, what just happened? Like, everything that I ever, like, I don't know, I just was in shock. And I went home and just cried, but like cried because I was like, what the frick? Like, I truly didn't want to be here a few months ago, and like, why am I feeling like what is making me worthy of this love? Like I just didn't feel like I was worthy of any of it. And I went home and just started praying, and that's the first time I prayed in a long time. Like that night I went home and prayed, and yeah, I don't know. I went home and prayed. I prayed for my cousin's safety and all that, and I was like thankful. I was like, what? Like I don't know. Like I was just I was just in shock because prior to this I didn't want to be here, and now Jesus just fully appeared to me, and not even like in like a physical form. I could see what he, like his face, but it was more like his presence, his love was shining through them and was all around me. And this doesn't make any, still doesn't make any sense to me, because I was like, bro, like I'm so, at that point I just didn't really care about believing in God. I didn't really care, and like for all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, like what this is like that moment there, like God, Jesus truly entered my heart, and this whole the whole thing was just, I was just in like this just utter like like not disbelief, but like dang, I just had an encounter with Jesus. I just had an encounter with God, and I was still in shock. And when and a couple of days after that, we were going on a trip. I went on a cruise, and when I went on this cruise, this was like, damn. I was like, I want to know about God. Like this is when I started reading the Bible. I legitimately was like, I need to know about God. Like I just, like Jesus is real. Like this, I just experienced him at my cousin's house, literally like a couple of days before, and like literally my whole mind shift changed. Like when I went on that trip, I was so like locked in on God. I was like no more like, oh, I don't know, like all the worldly things I was excited for on the cruise. I was like, no, I don't care about any of that. Like there's something deeper than that. There's something deeper that just entered my heart, and like that's when I started like, okay, this is serious. Like I'm gonna take it serious. And when I got on, and the day before we were leaving the trip, I was going to, I had to go to the bathroom, whatever. I don't know, whatever. Go to the bathroom, go into the bathroom, use the bathroom, and there's like these little handicap buttons that you can push that open the door, which is really handy for me. And this time it didn't work. I was like hitting, I was like, what the? I was like, oh crap. I was like, nobody in here. Turn around, this guy walks out, and he didn't speak any English, but he's like, oh. I was like, could you, like, I just kind of pointed to the, said, oh, okay, I got it. So he hit the button, didn't work. So he opened the door for me, let me out. We're both going into the bathroom, making a right to go back into back to our seats to go eat, because it was dinner. And he stops me. He didn't speak any English. He was from Colombia. He's from Colombia. He's like, oh, Colombia. He's like pointing to himself. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't really understand, but I was like, okay. And he was like, you know Jesus? And I was like, funny thing you say that. I was like, yeah. And then like he couldn't really speak. He's like, oh, my son. He was like, he put up on his phone like telling me his son had some heart condition from COVID, and his son did this like 10-day prayer or whatever, and it healed his son. And he was like, like trying to explain it to me. I was like, okay. I did not understand a lick of what he was saying. All I knew is when he said Jesus, and all I knew when he was pointing at, talking about the prayer. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then he's like, I was going to leave, and he's like, perfect English, was like, I just want you to know, like, Jesus loves you, and like he truly loves you, and he's gonna heal you. He's gonna heal your heart. He's gonna heal your heart like he healed my son's heart. I just realized this whole time that his son's heart was physically healed, but it was talking about healing my heart, literally. Like literally, oh my God. I just put that together. That was a metaphor. It wasn't about him actually healing my condition. He meant healing my heart. Like, whoa. Okay. Shoot, that's an unlock while I'm recording. That's kind of cool. There is no way. I just that the so okay. So that's how God was using it this whole time. Wow. Okay. Anyway, he said it in perfect English that God loves you and God's gonna heal you, and he's like, I love you, and can I give you a hug? And he gave me a hug, and I was like, bro, what the, like this is a confirmation. This is confirming everything that happened like a week prior when I was at my cousin's, like feeling this crazy experience of God and Jesus entering my heart, and this guy telling me he's gonna heal my heart. And then I never saw that dude again. I never saw him again. He went one way, I went another. Never saw him for the next 2 days. Never saw him, and I just was like starstruck. I was like, what the? Just randomly, just had to go use the bathroom. I couldn't get the door. The door always works, and this one time it doesn't work, just so this dude can open it for me and tell me like, no, 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 it's not. No, there's no coincidences. I got home, and when I got home, I did this prayer he told me to do. I did this 10-day prayer he told me to do, and I started reading the Bible, and I stopped watching porn completely. I was like, this. I was like, okay, I need to stop watching porn. At this time I was still struggling and falling into that because that's what I used to cope. And I was cutting that off, and I started reading the Bible, and it just started. My whole journey of following God and following Jesus was that moment. Like that, the whole month of October, from the having the radical experience with God at my cousin's house, to the confirmation of him gonna heal my heart from this random guy from Colombia. I knew right then and there that this is what I need. This is like, I felt healed then and there. My heart felt healed, literally. I felt that void was gone, and I knew exactly what I needed to fill it, and it was God, it was His Word, it was Jesus, and that's what I did. And that was October of last year, of 2024. The whole journey started, and since then I've grown closer and closer with God, and my whole life just turned to Jesus. And I started looking back at all these little pieces of the man who kept talking to me and telling me about Jesus, and the old lady who just randomly stopped me and told me about her whole journey and her testimony, and then to that guy telling me his testimony, and then to me, to leading me full circle to God, to Jesus. And that's it. That started all off. And like, it's not, obviously being a Christian is not, we don't choose to be a Christian because we're like, oh, this is easy. Like, we just read the Bible, be a good person, and we're going to heaven. No, no, no. This is like, I want a relationship with God. I want to please God in the best way that I can. And now I'm just trying to live my life biblically. It's like the void was filled. The void was filled. And, and on top of that, what kept me grounded was my other little cousin, and her constant like almost devotion to get me closer to God, to tell me about Jesus, and to like, He sends you certain people in your life to bring you closer to Him. And she was, after I gave myself to God and started fully locking in on Him, she was also a major key in that. And just like, and constantly encouraging me to grow closer with God and talk about God more and preach His gospel and get it to more people. And then ultimately, she's the one that wanted me to do a testimony, to fully, like, doesn't matter if you think your testimony is small or big or whatever. That doesn't have to be some extravagant thing that happened to your life. Everyone's testimony is different. Everyone's testimony is big and life-changing, regardless of what title you put on it. She encouraged me over and over again, and like, do your testimony and let people know how you encountered God, because your testimony could be the missing piece that someone needs to save them, or to bring them to God, or start their relationship, or get with Jesus and get them thinking. I recorded this 15 times, just sat. It's crazy just having God-centered people around you to constantly keep you responsible and keep you accountable we're all accountable to God. We're all accountable to Jesus, but having God-centered people around you to also help recenter you when you can't see it yourself is crucial, and I think is necessary. And I'm so grateful for her and her love towards me and her support towards me to get me closer to God and to get me to tell people more about God. And like, I'm so appreciative. Ultimately, God led me and has been calling me to do this, but also I'm just grateful. I'm blessed and I'm grateful to have people around me that truly care about me and close that narrative before of like, oh, I don't care and like nobody cares. I don't need nobody, blah, blah, blah. Like God working through them and them being obedient to God to allow God to work through them and just being there to support and encourage and fill me with love. I'm just so grateful and blessed. And I just feel like that was important to share in this video. This video is riffed. Like I'm just talking off the dome. Whatever comes in my head, I'm talking about. And I'm so thankful for them. Like I'm so thankful for her. Like just her. I don't know. It's like unlikely. It's just crazy. Just unlikely how. I mean, it's like I wouldn't have thought a year ago my little cousin's gonna be the one encouraging me to grow my relationship closer with God, and then my other cousin, the one, the thing too. Just like I'm thankful because I know some people don't have that, and I do, and yeah, and their love is healing. Like that's just biblical, godly, Jesus love is healing, and it's part of the way God healed my heart was through them as well, and through her, and I'm so thankful and just blessed. So yeah, I don't know if this whole thing recorded. I'm gonna check my phone, and there's a high chance it didn't record because I think I ran out of space. But if it did record, this video is gonna be awesome, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in and staying in and listening, and thank y'all.